Welcome back, everybody, to Season 3 of Training the Carnivore. I'll be your host, WILDMAN. Now, if you've been watching this series, or if you're unfamiliar if you're just tuning in now, and you're like, what the heck is Training the Carnivore? Basically, this is my buddy, Frank. Now, Frank is a former client of mine, and he's also on the carnivore diet. And if you're unfamiliar with what that is, go ahead and take a look in the description, and you'll see where Frank and I had a discussion about the carnivore diet and how I didn't believe that somebody who is on the carnivore diet would be able to achieve optimal strength based on that carnivore diet alone. They would have to do some type of bulking that involved carbs and vegetables and fruits and other things that involve than just meat. Frank disagreed. Frank believes that the carnivore diet could achieve optimal strength status just by being on meat alone. Now that's what Frank is doing. He's been switching his diet up to being meat alone. But in the carnivore diet, you are allowed to have some little intricacies such as honey and other things that I didn't know that were a part of it, where you could eat that and include that into your diet. When Frank was my client, we did Tough 6, and we also trained in the 5x5 program. And Frank was able to find success, and all of his lifts went up in weight, and he was achieving optimal strength. When we got to 531, Frank did one wave of it, and then he ended up dropping my program because he needed to go do some jiu-jitsu training because he wanted to compete. However, Frank did say that he found my strength training programs to help him tremendously when he was doing jiu-jitsu. So we're doing something right over here. And now since we finished the other two programs, we're going to see if we can do 531. So on today's menu is going to be back squat. And let's see if Frank is able to get through this training program, and we can see how he does today. Well, welcome to 531, everybody. Invented by Jim Wilder, who is a famous powerlifter. Now, the way that this program works is you test your 1 rep max in the back squat, bench press, deadlift, and overhead press. And then you just take a percentage of that for your first week, and you do 5 reps with a certain percentage of your 1 rep max. So the first round is going to be 65% of Frank's 1 rep max. And I believe that weight came out to 215 pounds. And his second top set was going to be 75% of his 1 rep max, which I believe came out to 245 pounds. Now, obviously, before he did his top 3 sets here, he started with just the bar and worked his way up. But 531 really focuses on 5 rep max, 3 rep max, and 1 rep max. And the main bulk of the work comes from your top 3 sets. So that's what Frank is doing here. And this isn't a true 531 training program because I'm training the way that I like to train 531. So this is kind of a variation of it. I'm not a big fan of how the top 3 sets, there's massive jumps. Like I wouldn't take that big of jumps, but we're going to try that anyway. So I am leaving that into Frank's training block is I'm having him take the exact same jumps he would if he was just doing 531. So now this is his top set for the day. He's going to do 5 reps or more with this weight. And that's where the key comes down into it when you talk about 531. It's you work up to a 5 rep max at 85%, which I believe is 275 pounds for Frank. And you try to go for a 6 rep. 5 is really good, but 6 would be even better. But unfortunately, Frank was really feeling the weight, no pun intended, on that back squat today. So he decided he was just going to stick with his 5 reps because here for his last rep, I could tell that he was pretty fatigued and the sound is off, but I'm yelling at him to get this weight up. So that seemed like a true 5 rep max for him. So good job, Frank. That was awesome work. Now, Frank could have just gone home and done 531 for that day and basically be done. Maybe do a few accessories or assistance work. But I like to program some type of variation lift in all of my weight training. So I thought for Frank it would be beneficial if we threw in the leg press and to just start off with lightweight and work up to a 10 rep max. His legs was going to be tired from that back squatting. So it would be up to him to feel what he felt was appropriate to go up to. And for assistance, we're going to be doing some leg extensions because by now his quads were on fire. So now we're just going to finish them off with very lightweight with 3 sets of 20. And we're also going to do 3 sets of 20 doing hamstring curls and really hitting our hamstrings because again, his posterior chain is fried from the back squats. And now let's take a look what Frank the Carnivore ate today. So this was the menu that he had when he was doing his back squat on this day. And so far, so good. I am seeing a lot more fatigue than I am used to seeing Frank under, and that could be a variation of other things as well. So we'll have to see if this diet holds up. Now, as you can see, we're not doing giant set format with 531. The reason why I did giant set format for Frank for Tough 6 and for 5x5 was because he was a former client of mine and he progressed pretty quickly. So I was trying to build his work capacity up so we could jump into intermediate level as fast as we can. So this is phase 1, this is intermediate 1, and we're gonna do 3 waves of this. Well, typically you would do 3 waves of this, but I think instead what we decided to do was he was gonna do 531 in basic form, and then he's gonna do 531 in giant set format. After that, we'll move on to intermediate 2, which is conjugate level. And again, I'm not trying to kill Frank, and I am trying to progress him into a manner that I would with any other normal client into some heavy strength training. So it doesn't matter if you're on the carnivore diet or if you're on some other regular diet or some type of vegan diet or whatever it is. I'm always going to try to train people at their level, watch how they're progressing, and make tweaks along the way to make sure that we're achieving what we want to achieve. So back squats were done today, and it was a little tough for Frank, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it's because of his diet, or I don't know if there's another factor into there, but we'll have to find out. So stay tuned, and we'll all find out together. Really appreciate you taking time to watch my videos. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.